there may come a point where you maybe in 2024 sit down and take a look at how you're using each platform and what you want that feel and interaction to be for the people that are following you. So like Chelsea just said, she mixes up when she pushes some of this recycled content out because she wants the feel of what we're doing on TikTok to be a little different than the feel that we're doing on Instagram.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real. All right, all you S.O.B small-owned businesses, welcome back for another episode of the S.O.B Marketing Podcast. I am here with my lovely and beautiful sister, Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea.
Hey, Vivian.
All right, so what are we going to be talking about today? Because remember, when you guys come here for this 30-minute, 45-minute, hour discussion, we want it to be something related to marketing and growing your small business. So we want to be the place that you guys come to get the lowdown, the real talk on all things marketing. So Chelsea.
Absolutely. So we today are talking about content marketing, specifically reusing, repurposing, and recycling content. Kind of random.
That's a mouthful.
I know, isn't that a mouthful? Kind of random, though. What do you think when you hear the word recycle? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what comes to mind. And I think every 40-year-old out there probably has this image of recycling. It's whenever I literally would beg mom and dad to keep every single soda can so that I can stomp on it and crush it and collect like 5 cents from it at the aluminum. That was recycling to me. So that's the association I have with it, is basically taking something that you no longer need and then getting something you want in return out of it, right? Or creating something out of it.
That is way more productive than what I think of, because I think of Green Day.
Why?
It's a lyric in their song, Jesus of Suburbia.
What's the lyric?
Let's recycle but never save.
Oh.
So like instead of like making, like just don't make the thing to begin. It's about consumerism. Don't worry about it. But that's what I think of when I hear recycle.
I mean, that's a very Chelsea take on things. Like, you always have the little pessimist in you, which I love, but you know me, I'm like the opposite spectrum.
I think I call it realist, but okay. Let's get back to content marketing. Specifically, we're talking about reusing, repurposing, recycling. What do these three things mean when it comes to content marketing?
And here's the interesting part about that is I know when you first kind of hear that, you probably think that they're all the same thing, but they really are not. And we're hoping that today's discussion just kind of clarifies it a little more, because there are times, especially with small business owners, if you don't know already, you guys are all now content creators. Yeah. Like, I hate to tell you, but that's basically part of your job now, right? So, and it's because it does help grow your small business and it can lead to sales. Everyone is out there putting information and content. And so if you are doing blog post on your website, you're a content creator. If you are creating videos for Instagram Reels, you're a content creator. And so really, I think the reason we're bringing this up today is because, we value your time just as much as we value our time, and any efficiencies that you can create in repurposing, recycling, reusing any of that, then we're going to recommend that you guys do that. But we also don't want to recommend something that's not going to be effective. And in some cases, depending on what you're doing, one of those may not be effective.
Absolutely. The key takeaway for this conversation should be, you've already come up with this content. Why not use it to the fullest extent? You don't have to recreate the wheel. You don't have to come up with a new idea every single week, every single day. If you've already come up with good content, go ahead and find ways to continue to use it. Let's first talk about repurposing. So when we say repurposing, what we mean is you're taking the content, not where it's not how you've presented it, but the actual content, and you're reformatting it so that you can post it to a different platform. A great example of this would be, I personally, because I do our social media marketing, will post carousels onto Instagram. I will take those carousels, I will use B-roll to reformat them into TikToks so that I can still post the same content, but it's going on TikTok instead of Instagram, and I'm not doing like a still form carousel post, but it is instead a video. So that's going to be repurposing. I'm changing the format of the content, but I'm still keeping the same information because I don't need to come up with completely new ideas. I've already come up with this content. Why not just repurpose it so that I can still share the same content, but I'm sharing it in a different way?
Yeah, what's primed for this too is I mentioned blog post. Blog post, you guys are sitting there writing all this stuff anyways. You can probably, if you look back, and I do this with our emails too, Chelsea. Sometimes I'll pop in, since we send out weekly emails, and I'll look at the information we shared on those emails, and I'm like, oh, we could create a reel from this, right? So
I do the same thing.
Yeah. So the thing is, instead of it always having to be a new idea, you can take the idea and, like Chelsea said, the information you've already created and just tweak it to fit whatever medium or whatever platform you're looking to. So that blog post, great. You guys did, 5 tips on how to improve your website if you're a website designer. Take that and you can actually break down each one of those tips into a separate video, right?
Yeah.
A separate 30-second video if you want. So it's just repurposing. I'm a huge fan of it. And I feel like you and I do this quite a bit.
Yes. I mean, for us specifically, we do a lot of long form video, right? So we use Opus clips. And if you're creating long form video content, you need to get on the Opus Clips train because it is so helpful. It is basically an AI program that all I do is I upload the long form video, like the YouTube video or anything like that, and it will create clips from that video. So basically it creates our reels for us or our TikToks. It'll create snippets of that long video so that I can use them on our social media. It saves so much time. It's so easy. And I get all of the content from that long video.
It's almost like taking an orange and just squeezing as much juice as you can out of it, right? So you're linking that long form video and then they're splicing it into 6 different clips, right? That you can then use.
Oh, but it's 20.
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you, I have been impressed by how well their AI works on this because not only we are huge fans of Opus Clips because, sometimes if you were to do this, they generate weird clips that really didn't make sense. Yeah. Not them. I feel like they've worked really hard on their AI portion to get that little machine working to where it's hey, it's intuitive to conversation and what, the thing I love is it gives you a score. Yeah. And it tells you hey, this clip would be 80% or it's 90%. And it tells you why, right? It's got an engaging intro. It's got this and that. So yeah, it's the repurposing part of it. This is probably the one thing we would want to encourage you to do more of. And I know the conversation is leading there, but I feel like a lot of people right now are recycling the content and maybe they're not getting as much out of it because they're not taking that extra step to repurpose it, right?
Yes.
So the repurposing is being cognitive of where you're posting it. It's not just taking the same thing and blasting it out to 5 different platforms, right? Because the thing that works on YouTube Shorts is not the thing that works on TikToks, is not the thing that works on Instagram Reels.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like sometimes we can forget that because it is, with this example, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, it is really video based. So we think, okay, I have this one video, let me just share it across the board. That's not necessarily going to work because, like you're saying, each platform is unique, and what's going to work on each platform is going to be different. So we really encourage, out of everything we're going to talk about today, to repurpose. And I want to say real quick, we use Riverside for our podcasting. They also have an AI feature to create clips for like TikTok and Instagram. It works wonderfully as well. I use both of them. The only thing with Riverside is it takes clips from your raw feed. So this is our podcast feed before I have gone through and edited, before I have gone through and made changes. So there's a lot of this in there. There's a lot of like
edited.
The stuff that I cut out is also going to be in there, and that can sometimes end up in those clips. It is where I get a lot of our blooper reels from. But that's the only thing. So I use both of them.
It's great then if you're just a perfect person and you guys don't mess up and you just do a straight podcast without having to edit it. But we are not those people.
Yeah, we're none of those people.
Well, so I think this is along the same lines, but not really. Well, okay, so repurposing, hopefully that clears that up, you guys. It's basically just taking the information you have, repackaging it suitable for whichever platform you're looking to share it on. All right. The recycling part of it, I think, is what's interesting to me because let me lead this conversation by saying this. Chelsea just went through how, depending on what platform you're on, the same video may not work, right? It may be a 60-second video, but it may not work on TikTok as well as it works on Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
One thing I learned early on from doing YouTube videos, and this had always stuck with me, you find when people do YouTube, they will take the YouTube link and they will just share it on Facebook. But I took a different approach because at the time, years ago, they were always telling us that Facebook does this weird thing where it doesn't want to promote YouTube. They want people to stay on Facebook platforms. So you're not going to get as far up, just sharing a YouTube link as you are uploading an original video. So that's why, Chelsea, if you've ever wondered why I do this double work instead of just creating like a Facebook post and including the link to the YouTube, that's why I upload the actual video onto our Facebook page for the Seasoned Marketer, because I'm like, that will hopefully tell the platform like, hey, show this to more people because it's a native video on the platform, right? Yeah. And so the reason I bring that up is because the one thing you run into when you are recycling, which is basically taking the same video, right, that you did on Instagram Reels, sharing it on TikTok, not changing anything about it, is if you are not careful about which videos you're uploading, because y'all, I don't know if you've noticed this, when you go upload an Instagram Reel and you download the video to go upload it on TikTok, it's got that Instagram logo on it.
Yep.
TikTok doesn't necessarily like that. So that's the only thing with, there is a place, I think, for recycling content. You just have to be a little careful that you're not doing these things where you're downloading TikTok videos, sharing them on Instagram, and then Instagram's like, I'm not going to show it to as many people.
Exactly, because it has the TikTok logo. And I think if you're going to be recycling content, what I like to do, because I don't necessarily want to, for example, these Opus clips, I'm going to share them on Instagram and TikTok. What I do is I don't share them at the same time. So I am recycling it, but I am spreading it out differently because I want our platforms to offer people different things at different times. Now, if the content is the same, that is okay because, like we say, not everyone is hearing your message the first time. You're not going to be bothering people. But I personally like to spread out the content and make it different on each platform. And also, what I do, I mean, the way that I interact with each platform is different. On TikTok, we post at least 2 videos a day. On Instagram, we'll probably do 1 post a day, and it's not always going to be a video. So just using the content differently, even if you are going to recycle it, just interacting with the platform differently is going to help. So we're not saying you don't have to recycle.
Right. So yeah, and that makes sense because I do think one of the things that I know about TikTok, I was just reading this the other day, is if you've ever, and I think this is why people are like, TikTok is unhinged. Okay, well, the reason it looks unhinged is because when you go on TikTok, it's more of it's not polished videos. You see a lot more polished videos on Instagram Reels, right? Like more editing, more all of that. On TikTok, I was reading that they say the platform prefers like turning the camera on and you just talking to it. Like it prefers more of that genuine conversation, which I think is what naturally incites more people to upload things that they probably should not be uploading, right? You need to be thinking about it before you post it. But maybe that's why it comes off a little unhinged because it is way more of that, like, less polished and a little more real talk. That and everyone promoting all kinds of crazy products and stuff.
That's true. Do you remember what was it, pink sauce?
No, what was that?
Do you not remember? It was this lady on TikTok that was just selling like pink sauce.
I think I do remember this. I don't think I ever saw it.
Everyone was like people were buying it and they were like, it's so good. But then other people were like, yo, you shouldn't be buying just like consumables from a random person on TikTok. Like you don't even know what's in it.
I'm gonna take to TikTok to sell my eggs.
Your eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna what do you call it? Figure out how to ship them. Do you have a list of emails that you have collected from past buyers that is just sitting there getting dusty?
Are you looking for a way to build a long-term relationship with people so that your small business will stay top of mind for them? Want to increase your repeat sales? For every dollar spent on email marketing, businesses receive an average of a $42 return on their investment. And with an ROI like that, can you really afford to continue to let that email list sit there and just collect dust? Joining our Nothing But Emails monthly membership program means that you can sit back and reap the rewards of sending out monthly or bi-monthly communication while we craft the email and send it out on your behalf. For less than $100 a month, you can capitalize on this. Start today by visiting www.theseasonmarketer.com/services. You also mentioned this in passing, but I think it's something that people maybe are, and we're small business owners too, you guys. Like we get it. You are so limited on time and you're having to deal with clients and all kinds of other stuff. It's understood. Time is tight, but there may come a point where you maybe in 2024 sit down and take a look at how you're using each platform and what you want that feel and interaction to be for the people that are following you. So like Chelsea just said, she mixes up when she pushes some of this recycled content out because she wants the feel of what we're doing on TikTok to be a little different than the feel that we're doing on Instagram because she wants to deliver a different experience on both those platforms. And so I think those are things that, and even for us, like, we have opportunity to tighten that up and to grow that and do all that. But as a small business owner, maybe that's a thought you haven't had is, are you mirroring the same thing on TikTok that you're doing on Instagram or on YouTube? And how can
do you want to offer? Does it make sense for you to offer different experiences on each?
I think that's such a great point, and that's such a great conversation to have within your small business. Where are you going with each platforms? I think when you have this discussion, think about why you are using each platform. On Instagram, am I using Instagram because I want to push people onto my Instagram store? Am I using TikTok just to build an audience? The reasons why you're using each platform are going to affect the way that you use each platform in terms of putting content out there.
Yeah, and I think that's great because what it does is it forces you to remember that the reason you're doing social media and creating all of this content is really to draw people in, ultimately, so that you can start priming them for those touch points. Touch point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many it takes before they spend cash with you, right? And so there's a reason you're doing this. And so if it's having a strategic, just goal for each one, TikTok, great. I'm using it because I'm going to sell my stuff, my products on TikTok Shop.
Can I go on a little tangent real quick? I want to say something.
What would you do if I said no?
Well, I would go on my tangent anyways. Yeah, I don't know why I asked. But real quick, I just want to say for small business owners, don't get discouraged if you're not getting a bunch of followers, because I noticed this personally this week. I don't follow people until I've interacted with their content at least 10 times.
Really?
Like, yes. Like, if I like your video, that's cool. I'll like your video. I'm not going to follow you unless I keep seeing your videos and I keep liking them. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm constantly liking their stuff. I'll follow them. Now, there have been times where I've done that and then I kept getting their content. I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. And I unfollowed them. But my point is, follows are not going to equate to sales. And it's about those touch points. It's about people seeing your content and knowing that you're an option. So don't look at yes, look at vanity metrics, but don't take them. They're vanity metrics,
Yeah, I think the other thing too is people, kind of like you're saying, they're becoming very stingy with their follows because we all kind of know how the algorithm works now, right? Which is like, I started following this lady. I think her name is like Broadway Barbara. Okay. The other day, I'm going to send it to you, Chelsea. She is effing hilarious. Okay. Because she pretends to be like a Broadway star. Okay. And she's a improv comedian, something like that. Okay. But she pretends to be like a big Broadway star. And so like she tells you what she eats in a day for her diet. And it's like very off the chain. Like it's stuff you're like, so it's comedy. But I had watched maybe 4 of her videos before I decided to even like follow her, because I was like, okay, I saw the first one. I thought, great, she's funny, but are all the rest of her videos like this, or was this just like a one-off? Exactly. And then when it showed me a couple more, I was like, okay, this is consistently satire humor right up my alley. Yeah. So I agree. I think people are a little more stingy because they don't want to be flooded with it. And then how many times, like you said, we've all been guilty of following someone and then we're like, unfollow.
Never mind. Yeah, exactly.
I cannot stand your stuff.
Yeah. So we've talked about repurposing, recycling. Let's touch on reusing. This one is going to be the simplest one, and it's going to sound insane. And people are going to be like, Chelsea, I can't do that. I'm telling you, yes, you can. If a video did really well on a platform, just share it again. You can do that. That's allowed.
Chelsea, now, do you see a lot of people doing this? Because I feel like I've caught on a little more to it, because naturally, I think the natural response to this is like people are going to get bored. But where I've seen people do this is let's say they had a video that took off and got 1 million views or something,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Mhm.
then maybe a couple months later, or even on the 1-year anniversary, they're like,
Mhm.
hey, kicking it back to where this all started with my
Mhm.
first viral video,
Yes.
right? And then they
Yes.
repost it, and then
Yes, exactly. Like, it doesn't have to be rocket science. If you have a video that did really well, wait a month or two and then just share it again. Change up the caption, but besides that, you can just reshare it. It's not a big deal. Don't constantly do this. I mean, you definitely want to create new content for people and keep it interesting, but you also just don't have to make things difficult. If you have a video that went viral, reshare that video. Share it again. It's fine.
the interesting part about this is I always think about the fact that when I get in my own head about something, I'm about to. Okay, one of the last videos,
Okay.
reels that we shared was I was showing, I did a voiceover, but I was showing people, I was moving something back here, right?
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
hanging something on the wall.
Uh-huh.
And I realized after I had edited it, put script on it, all this stuff, that if you look closely, like when I go to like go up on my tiptoes, the bottom of my feet kind of looked a little dirty. And I was like, why do I have dirty feet? Like, that's okay. Like, so I texted Karen, our friend Karen, and I was
Yeah.
like, Karen, do you notice that my feet are dirty? And she starts cracking up laughing. And she's like, if anybody comments about your dirty feet, like, please send them my way. And I told her, I said, so I will. I'll tag you on, if I get a bunch of
Yeah.
comments about, your feet look dirty or something. But the reason I bring this up is, y'all, nobody cares. Nobody, like, literally, if you think that somebody is honestly going through all of your Instagram feed or whatever,
Mhm.
which is what Chelsea's saying, I think
Yeah.
is good, because the thing is, something you posted 6 weeks ago that may
Mhm.
still, and if you're creating a lot of evergreen content, right? The stuff that is
Yeah.
like just it's solid across the board, no matter when you share it,
Mhm.
years in advance, whatever. So if you're doing stuff like that, what you shared 6 weeks ago, what are the odds, especially if you're posting like 4 times a week, what are the odds that
Yeah.
someone's going to scroll 6
And
weeks
find
back?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're consistently trying to get new people onto these platforms, then it would make sense that something that worked well for you before, you may want to use the same exact footage,
Yeah.
and just reshare it.
Yes, why not? And real quick, I do want to say, if you do have someone who's like doing all that and looking through all your stuff and commenting on your dirty feet, you got an entirely different problem. Like, you got a stalker or something. That's a whole different thing. That's not likely, we swear.
I mean, really, they just need to create a filter for dirty feet.
Honestly. I mean, I will say we've had people comment on my boobs before.
Yeah, that one was kind of,
So,
it was funny. It was kind of surprising, but it wasn't. When I clicked on the profile link, I'm like, of course you would, you little
yeah.
dirty S.O.B. Like, this guy was not cool, y'all. And
Not small owned business
no,
SOB, the other SOB. Yeah.
yeah, he was an actual son of a, but no, and that was pretty funny to get that.
It was funny. It doesn't, I mean, look, y'all, social media is social media. There's going to be things like that. But at the end of the day, just keep making your content. And if you want to reuse a video that did really well in the past, go ahead and do it. No one's
And
paying that much attention.
And let's do a little pro tip here. If you guys are thinking, oh, once I post a video, I delete it anyways or whatever. If you're not using Google Drive to upload some of your video footage, that's a great place to be able to get it off of your phone, upload it, have it sitting in this cloud, easily accessible wherever you're at. And then like you're saying, if weeks later you're like, you know what, I could reuse that clip, or I can just use that video again, then you can just pull it from there. But I think it
Trust
just
us,
helps.
we do that. I do that a lot because Vivian and I are right there with you. We do not have space on our phone. I mean,
No.
I have all of these like concert videos on top of our actual videos. We went to the Innings Festival a few years back. I put all of that onto a drive that's shaped like a guitar. It's so cute.
Yeah.
But I had to put all of it on a drive because I could not keep it in my phone because I do not have the space for it. So we get it.
I hear you. Well, and so hopefully that sheds some light, you guys, on the difference between repurposing, recycling, and reusing content. There is a difference between all three of them, and there is a place for all three of them. It's just, acknowledging which you want to use and which would help you perform better depending on what your goal is.
Which is the best option in your specific scenario at that time.
Yeah.
Well, Vivian, I think that was a quick little episode about reusing, repurposing, and recycling content. I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any topics specifically that you want us to talk about, you can email us at help@theseasonmarketer.com, or you can message us or leave a comment on any of the social medias. We're there, except for X. We don't use X. I mean,
formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure to follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. All of that stuff is really helpful. It shows all the platforms that we are actually providing information that people want to listen to. If you know a S.O.B that would benefit from this conversation, make sure to send them our way as well. And just go be the best S.O.B you can be.